फिश पकड़ के लाओ। मैं यही बैठे बैठे फ्रेश फिश पकाऊं।
Good evening, everyone. So let us start today's session, as you know, under the 4 to 5 series. And today I will be discussing with you this environmental science. And from there, as you know, if you have seen earlier videos also, so we have covered many topics, that is subtopics under two broader categories. And today also I'm going to discuss with you a few questions on the similar lines. And the topic again, even though I have individually discussed with you in last two sessions, one was the global and regional environmental issues. I have already discussed a few questions in one session, and in another session I have discussed with you on the other topic called as environmental management and sustainable development, right? So today what I have done is I have taken the mixed questions from both these sections, and those questions I'm going to discuss with you. Okay, so let's get started. And here's the first question for you. So just try to understand this question properly and try to find the right answer. What could be the possible right answer? Okay, just take it 1 minute, then I will explain you. So first you need to try by yourself. Okay, so read these statements carefully and then try to interpret on the right lines. Okay, let me now explain you. Here you have been given the assertion and reasoning, and basically assertion is this, and you have to find out whether, first of all, you have to find out whether these both statements are correct or not, right? So, and then if both the statements are correct, then you have to find whether this is the correct reason, or this statement reasons, basically this statement correctly explains the first one. That is what you are supposed to tell. Now see, first one, impact of rising temperature due to global warming. Just a minute. Okay. So what it says, impact of rising temperature due to global warming on water or land species is one of the major concerns worldwide. Okay, so as you know, we are talking about the global warming. So he says that global warming is going to have a major impact on any of the species, whether they are aquatic species or we are saying species on water or land species that exist on the land surface. So obviously, if you will say, if I ask you that whether it is going to be an impact, definitely is going to have the impact, right? So this statement is correct. Now let's see whether the second statement is correct as well as whether that statement is right explanation for the first one. Effect on one species in a food chain can cause cumulative impact on further levels of food chain, creating an impact on the many species worldwide. What does it mean? That means, as you know, all the species are connected through food webs, right? The species are interconnected and therefore food webs have got created. One species dependent upon another species. So that way you have a food chain and food webs also. So if that be the case, and let us say if some species they become extinct or they are removed, then what is going to happen? Next species which is dependent upon it, basically that will be in trouble. So it means effect on one species in a food chain definitely is going to have a cumulative effect on the different levels of food chain, creating an impact on many species worldwide, right? Or key species, I think I have taken one questions earlier where keystone species we talk, where that species is a key species, then the whole of that ecosystem will be destabilized very easily, very early. But if that species is not keystone species, but even if we remove any species from the ecosystem, definitely it is going to have a cumulative effect over a period of time on the other species also, which may not be visible in the near future so easily. Sometimes this happens. So definitely this statement is correct. This statement is also correct. Now see whether this is the correct explanation. Impact of rising temperature due to global warming on the water or land species is one of the major concern. Now, species के ऊपर impact क्यों पड़ेगा? If there is a climate change, why there is going to be impact on the species? See, there are many species which are sensitive to the temperature changes, right? And if let us say because of the minor change in the temperature which may happen, which over a period of time going to, as you know, we are talking about that we have to restrict, as per the Paris climate deal, we have to restrict the rise in temperature to below 1.5 degrees Celsius, that is after the pre-industrialization, right? It means 1.5 degrees sufficient enough to create a damage to those species. So it means there are many species which are sensitive to the temperature changes, and any of the species, let us say death of any of the species occur, then obviously the whole of the ecosystem is going to disturb. So that means climate change or global warming is basically going to distort the food chain. How? Because if one species in the food chain, because of the rise in temperature, so basically this is the correct reason why the global warming will lead to the species effect on the species, because if any of the species is damaged, then definitely it is going to have a cumulative effect on the other species, and therefore the whole of the ecosystem will get destabilized. So we can say that both of these statements are correct, as well as the second one is the correct explanation for the first one. Okay, so that is how you have to see. So which one is that? Over here you have mentioned A and R, both are correct, and R is the correct explanation for the first one. So same thing has been explained to you over here. Now let us go to the next question. Just go through it, and this is going to check your holistic knowledge of the subject. And I think some basic, it may be more of a basic science question, okay? But since it is related to your climate change and all that, then this way also it could be framed. Okay, go ahead and try to answer. What it says: energy from sun reaches Earth atmosphere mainly in the form of which of the following combination of electromagnetic rays, right? So for that, I think this is more of a factual information, but you need to have the idea. Basically, yes, you are right. This is correct. C option basically. So this is how the basically the distribution is. Basically, the most, if you see the largest amount of that energy that we receive on the surface of the earth, that is in the form of infrared radiations. See, these are the three radiations. One is the ultraviolet in the that electromagnetic जो band है आपका. So one is the ultraviolet UV rays, visible light, and then you are having infrared. So infrared, as you know, as you're moving from this side, wavelength is increasing. So UV light and the major portion of the visible light, they fall under the short wavelength categories, right? So if you see, the most of this the energy that we receive from the sun on the surface of the earth, 49%, basically that is infrared, in the form of infrared radiations. Then second one is this visible light, and third one is only roughly about 7% is in the UV form. And also, you know, that UV form also, most of it is basically getting absorbed by the ozone layer, right? That is how you have to see. So this is how simply you can say this is factual information that you need to have, but obviously he can frame the question related to it also, because as you know, the sun basically radiates in the shorter wavelength radiation because it's a heated body, and when it reaches on the surface of the earth, then obviously earth, when it gets heated up, then its temperature is compared to sun is too low. So you can say it also emits radiations, and those re-emitted radiations are infrared radiations because they are of higher wavelength. So these re-emitted radiations, infrared radiations of larger wavelengths, when they are emitted from the surface of the earth, they are blocked by what? The greenhouse gases. Since they are blocked by the greenhouse gases, this causes the global warming. So that way it could be related, and that is why it is going to be the significant question for you. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. So here's the next question for you. Just go through it and try to answer. And this is basically related to renewable energy. Okay, what it says: which of the following characteristics about renewable energy resources is correct? Basically, this question tries to check your understanding of whether you understood what is the meaning of renewable energy, or simply you have crammed it. Now see, the options that is given to you: regenerate in long period, regenerate in short period, does not regenerate, regenerate continuously, something that way. See, does not regenerate. Obviously, when we say that, okay, energy sources, renewable energy sources, they are available to you for a longer period of time. That is how. So when we have that understanding, sometimes we have interpretation that, okay, it is not really going to regenerate in the shorter period, but we have thinking of, okay, longer, when we are talking in terms of longer period of time, then this should be the correct statement. So this is the insinuation that we get from this question. But you know, mainly, what is the meaning of renewable energy resources? Now, renewable resources are which are getting renewed continuously. Now, continuously, we are not in terms of saying short period or long period. We are simply saying in terms of that these so resources, we can make use of these resources in such a way that they are renewed continuously. If you are we are using them, then again we can reuse them, something that way. So even if this statement could also be seems like correct, but we have to find out the most correct statement out of over here. Over here, the most correct, most appropriate, not most correct, this is also correct in that way, but the most appropriate is going to the regenerate continuously. And since they will regenerate continuously, obviously they are going to stay for a very long period of time. That is how you have to say. So the correct meaning renewable, getting renewed. Renewed means that is getting regenerated continuous basis, right? So that is how you have to answer this question. So the correct answer is going to be the C option over here. So you have to understand the term renewed or regeneration correctly. Okay, so let's go to the next question now. Just go through it. Maybe slightly difficult for you to answer. Okay, let's now see what it says. It says that presence of diversity. When we say diversity, obviously it is the biodiversity that we are talking about. At the junction of territories of two different habitats. Let's say these are the two different habitats over here. One habitat over here, another habitat, this one. Where you are having the living things which are over here. And so obviously you could have different one over here. So the junction is this one. So wherever you are having the two different habitats, they are coming together at a certain location, then you are going to have a what? That is going to basically, we are saying that is creating a junction. Then obviously there you are going to have a different kind of species, and rather more diverse species you are going to get, because this will be a unique ecosystem that is getting created at the edge of these both of these ecosystems. So this over here, this location where these two ecosystems or two habitats of different habitats are meeting together, you're going to have a different kinds of or more number of species that will be existing, and maybe of different kinds of species existing over here. So this effect of having a more diversity in the at the edge of these two habitats where they are meeting, we call as a edge effect. So basically ये बहुत ही specific name है, which is you need to remember. What does that mean? Edge effect is मतलब edge का मतलब है edge of that or boundary of that particular ecosystem or habitats where they're coming together, right? So basically in those ecosystems you're going to have a huge variety of those these species that exist over here, and that effect of existence of variety, large variety of species, in that case we call it as a edge effect. And that is the presence of diversity. That is, you are going to have a more biodiversity in that particular place. So ये आपने ध्यान रखना है, बहुत specific term है which has been used over here. Okay, so let us now, same thing has been explained, but anyway, let's go to the next one. Evil quartet. What does it mean? Is related with. So quartet, as you know, 4, right? So from there, evil quartet. So it means there are something 4 evils which he is talking about. Now basically this evil quartet is a specific term which was coined by a person. Basically, let me just I will name you that person over here. But before that, basically these are the 4 major causes of the loss of biodiversity. As you know, because of our different actions, what we are doing is we are influencing the ecosystems, and since we are damaging or ecology in that sense, so since we are influencing the different ecosystem through our activities, then obviously the biodiversity is also getting it is decreasing, or you are basically reducing that biodiversity through your actions, right? So there are 4 major reasons that have been outlined for the loss of that particular biodiversity. So basically this evil quartet is basically 4 major causes. That is why we are saying, because since they are leading to the decline in biodiversity, that is why we are saying they are the evil, right? So basically, if you see loss of biodiversity, loss of standing crop, loss of alien species, and loss of climate community, you will understand this. Obviously, since I'm talking about the loss of biodiversity, this is going to be the correct answer. But obviously, once we will understand them, which one of them are, then obviously you will understand that they are not going to be in any case. Okay, so now let me just show you over here. This term of evil quartet was basically coined by a person called as he was a biologist, basically J. Diamond. उसने coin किया ये phrase evil quartet to describe the following 4 main human-induced causes. That means basically because of our action, we are causing this biodiversity loss. First one is the habitat loss and fragmentation. That means habitat क्या होता है? The place of living, right? So basically what we are doing is we are, let's say you are having an animal habitat. So what we are destroying that animal habitat through our activities. Let's say you are having forest, you are cutting that forest. So what you are destroying that habitat of the animals which are living in that place. That is one thing. So we are calling, say, it as a habitat loss. And fragmentation. There are many areas. For example, you are having a large forest. What you have done is, earlier it was a single unit, but now what you have done is you have constructed the roads through it. Let's say one road this way, another road this way, through that particular dense forest. So what here? So this basically habitat you have fragmented into different pieces. So now the animals or the species which used to roam around freely, now what will happen is, since you have created so many construction and all that, so they are creating obstructions, and death may also occur of those species. So that is this is one of the reason of loss of biodiversity. Overexploitation, as you can understand, we have not judiciously used the resources. We have been using the resources without rather we are over exploiting. Like जितनी जरूरत है उतना यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट एक्सेस में उन रिसोर्सेज को हम क्या कर रहे हैं, यूज कर रहे हैं. That is we call it as a over exploitation. This is the second reason that was mentioned by J. Diamond as under the evil quartet. And the third, which is and third and fourth are mentioned over here, alien species invasion. So because of many actions, for example, हमने किया कि you are living in a particular place, वहां पर कुछ species exist करती हैं. So what you are doing is you are bringing another new species to that location, and that new species can cause harm to that उस particular place में whatever the species that exists. So we call it as a alien species invasion. मतलब आपने introduce की alien species in that particular location, and that invades the local that species, and therefore it can lead to the extinction of those species. For example, here one of the example that you can quote over here is, for example, Nile perch is a bird introduced into the Lake Victoria, right, in East Africa. Basically ये Victoria Lake जो आपकी African continent में है, led eventually to the extinction of the ecologically unique assemblage of more than 200 species of shellfish. This, तो जब आपने किया इस नाइल पर्च को इंट्रोड्यूस किया इस लेक में, वो आपने किया, दिस इज यू डेलिबरेटली इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इट, राइट. सो व्हेन यू इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इट, तो जितनी भी आपकी ये पर्टिकुलर फिश थी उस केस में, वैरायटी 200 डिफरेंट वैरायटीज ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर फिश, दैट वाज कंप्लीटली डिस्ट्रॉयड. सो क्या हुआ? Alien species invasion. Alien, Nile perch is the alien for this particular place, Lake Victoria. So that may lead to invasion. So we have done so many such kind of activities in different places across the world, which have led to the biodiversity loss. Now, there is one more reason, major reason, is the co-extinctions. Co-extinction साथ में, साथ. So if one species becomes extinct, then उसे associated species they also become extinct. When species becomes extinct, the plant and animal species associated with it in an obligatory way also becomes extinct. Obligatory way means you are entirely dependent upon that species. तो उसी को आपने क्या किया? Because of any reason, if it is damaged, or if it dies or it becomes extinct, then obviously all the species which are dependent upon it they are going to be they are also going to become the extinct, right? So these are the four major reasons which were mentioned as the which are leading to the loss of biodiversity, and we gave them the name called as evil quartet. So if that be the case, then I think very easily you will be able to identify basically evil quartet is related to the loss of biodiversity. सही, loss of alien standing crop, ये तो केवल एक particular उसके लिए बात कर रहे हो आप. So this is not going to be the representative. Loss of alien species carry no meaning. For example, I explained you, right? Loss of alien species, rather alien species invaded. So that is leading to the loss of biodiversity, right? So that is how you have to answer this particular question. So I hope you have understood these questions. And so in this portion, particularly when we talk about the topics that I have covered you and discussed with you, I think holistically we have covered many questions which could be a very potential questions from your exam point of view. Separately also here I have clubbed some of the left out questions which I think are going to be important from the exam point of view. So just go through these questions, and maybe if you think in coming sessions that okay, some more questions are required from this particular section, then definitely I will be dealing with those, and maybe from definitely in the newer topics, definitely we are going to discuss with you. Okay, so that's all for today's session. So see you in the next session. Till then, bye. Thank you.